Hey, everybody, this is Scoots. This is a new kind of experimental version of Sleep With Me we've never done before. So welcome. These are just bedtime stories from our podcast, Sleep With Me. And to make them feel fresh, these ones are from a couple of years ago. So if you're a regular listener, you might get a refresh. And if you're new, these are just bedtime stories from a show called Sleep With Me. They're strange, they're meandering, they're a little bit different. And all this is made possible by listeners like you, regular listeners like you. And so I just want to let you know that's how we're able to put the show out. And so if you are a fan of Sleep With Me, you listen to it on a regular basis, please consider supporting the show. You get ad-free episodes, you get ad-free story-only episodes, tons of other cool stuff at Sleep With Me Plus. That's sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus. But if you're in a position and you have some money every month, or you say, hey, maybe I don't watch that streaming service, I'd rather give it to a podcast, think about your favorite podcast. It doesn't have to be Sleep With Me, and support that podcast. If it is Sleep With Me, I consider supporting the show would be great. But if it isn't, or there's a podcast you listen to way more, brings you a lot of value during the day, please support that podcast. Podcasting is going through a different time right now, and your favorite podcast, the one you get the most out of, could use your support the most. So consider supporting it however they request support. Just check it out, like listen to the show or check out their website, or consider supporting Sleep With Me. If Sleep With Me, you say, oh no, Sleep With Me is the one I listen to the most, sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus. Thanks. Friends beyond the binary, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time for a sleep podcast. I could have you saying, well, and bakers too tonight. Our fans of baking everywhere. More than one kind. You know, I know some of you are listening there. Whether you're blazing or your oven's blazing, or you just say, what's that, 200 or 100 degrees centigrade, Scoots, I say, well, all those things are possible. Like some people keep their oven at 420 degrees to listen to the show. I don't. I keep my oven at whatever the temperature calls for. Rarely at that degree. Probably, you say, Scoots, what's the most aren't you trying to open a sleep podcast? 450, 500 maybe, because I do a lot of I don't know, is that considered a high heat roast? Well, anyway, it's time for, you say, where am I? Well, it's a strange place you're in, because it's time for Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. Hey, everybody, this is Scoots. This is a quick message here. If you get a lot out of Sleep With Me, if you're a regular listener, you like these new things we're trying out, like the story-only version of the show. If you're new, don't worry about any of this. But if you're a regular listener of Sleep With Me, or you're a regular listener of any podcast, if you have a favorite podcast, and it's not Sleep With Me, that's totally cool. If you have podcasts you listen to way more, or you get way more value out of, I totally understand that. Consider supporting that podcast. Podcasting as an industry is kind of going through a weird phase right now. Direct support from listeners is going to be, it seems like it's going to be the future of most shows. And so consider supporting the podcast you really love. And you could do that. You could find out, you could listen to the show and see how they ask to be supported, or reach out to them and say, hey, how can I support you? Or if you can't afford, a few dollars a month, you say, hey, how else can I support you? But if Sleep With Me is the one, Sleep With Me Plus is the best way to support Sleep With Me. Sign up for Sleep With Me Plus. Not only you get an unbelievably sweet, different ways to listen to the show, but it's a huge help for us to be able to do stuff like this. But yeah, think about what your favorite podcast is, and then go ahead and go to their website, or if you already know how they like to be supported, support that show. Thanks and good night. All right, everybody, it's Scoots here, and it's time for our return to the tent bakers. GBB Collection 5, Episode 1. Not sure what season or series it is, but this is a Channel 4 Love Productions one. And according to my notes, it opens with blue, light blue, greens, yellows, oranges, reds, and maroons. So not a Roy G. It's a tent or a hot air balloon. And I said it's not Roy G. Biv. It's BLBG. G's for Y's ORM. BLBG's Y's Yorms Yorm. That's easy. blues, light blue, yorm. At least we got the yorm down. And this is our comedy open. I think it's Noel and Sandy's first season. Not sure. The balloon rises above the tent. Then we have Noel and Sandy in the tent talking. Can you see it, Noel? Can't see it. Big white tent, 12 new bakers. They call Sue. Where are they, Prue? Don't know. They're late, she says to Paul. Oh, Prue, this is Prue's first season. Can you take a mini cab? Then we see the talking heads, Flo, Steven. Let's see what my notes. So Sandy, Noel in base, her in a fighter pilot, a hat. He's in a steam kind of leather goth. Look, Prue, Paul waiting for them with the bakers underlined. Talking heads, drone shot, something, judges, steeple, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Must have been 12, though. I missed a baker. The talking heads, maybe. 2 of 17 of 6. Don't get out here. Prue is new. They don't know what to expect. The bakers are putting their tan aprons on. And they're talking about how, talking about Prue. Prue's talking about herself a little bit. It's definitely colder in the tent right now and outside because everybody has layers on. Sky shot. Oh, then the opening comes. But right now we're still doing Unstitch Me. In 2017, who will win? With Chris in a paisley shirt. Then the opening comes. Burkford, wherever the tent is. I'll know. Brookshire. Leaning bottom. Detailed different outfits. A theme of the week. Cake week. First time. 3 challenges. Hello. Welcome. Signature family size fruity cake. Brookshire. Welford Park. They leave the tent. Noel and Sandy, their outfits are different. Sandy is kind of doing her first complex description, and he says, Cake Week, so excited. We're actually going to walk into the tent for the first time. Nervous. I don't really go camping. And then they talk about the 3 challenges, bake together. Paul's in a coat, soggy. Stephen, not easy, don't be fooled. James, rhubarb crumble. Allotment, nix it. Something with dad. 600 grams raw. 4 bakes apples. British, Buzz, Granny Smith, Stacy, Max, Zane, and Ethan. Liam, a crumb for his sister. Youngest apple loaf. I like loaves, shapes. Julia seeds his fruit. Skype, Nan, Courgette. Sophie, coconut, spawns, too much leaking. Peter, coconut cake. They're talking about the skewers on the show. Bakes for his church. Mango pineapple. I don't think it's mango pineapple though. Chris, no butter, 2 eggs, double question mark. Tremendous amount of fruit into oven, 160 degrees, 45, calm, 1 hour left, looking in oven, 75 to an hour, complete mystery. James is talking about his allotment. He has kind of a denim-colored shirt on. Complete mystery. Welcome, bakers. Light not on. The oven's not on. Yan. Fastball. Something. Football. Oh, Yan loves football. Crumble apple backup. Flow. Ciders. Lemon curd. Curd with a K, Paul says. Madhouse. Triple layer, well done, mum. Tom, architect, gilded pear, golden pear, gilded pear. Kate, an amateur blacksmith, rose and strawberry, layer it. Stephen, Mum Judy, bake it 3. toffee apples, in love with you. Oh, someone says that 30 minutes. Open arm, total lottery. Even harder for big cakes. Just a sponge, cool cakes. Flo interviews Noel. His never job cute. Not too shabby. Waiting, stress. Cakes looking good 2 minutes. Shizzle and nizzling. James, oh no, lost my bottom. 1 minute collapse, awkward hugs, cleanup. And then we have the judging coming up, but we'll do some of this talking about the loaf. Liam's loaf. He kind of is saying, "Hey, Paul, relax, man." He's got like the most joy in him, I think. Well, there's other joyous bakers, so Yan, Flo, a lot of joy. I mean, in the show. So I didn't mean to say he's got a lot of joy. I guess this is Julia's talking. She's shredding a courgette, which could be considered a cucumber-esque. I don't know. Which is a fruit if it has seeds. She's baking with her nan on Skype in Sussex. She's from Serbia. Courgette and lemon cake. Okay, let's go to the judging, though, in between this. Kate is the first one. No one. Sats, marigold. Noel eats it. It's all rose water, like the style. Oh, Julie's talking about how normal, she forgot to squeeze out the juice. Have you squeezed the moisture out of it? Of course I have. She said it takes a lot of strength to squeeze. Sophie, they're doing her thing. She's doing a squeezed pineapple and coconut sponges sandwiched. So we are getting some alliteration. Peter, burning my tongue, too much baking powder. Oh, here's Peter cracking a coconut. He's making his coconut cake. His wife and his daughter love it. But his son doesn't like anything with bits in it. I love myself a coconut cake, too. He brings a cake to someone at his church. It looks delicious. Grated coconut, coconut milk, coconut sugar. It can never have too much coconut, I agree. He's got a really nice darker pink shirt on. And then Chris is a pineapple mango sponge. Let's see. Who's this? Overbaked. Then there's no one named Justin on here. Julia. Heavy. Flo, good sponge, nice that. Chris got flavor, but maybe it's underbaked. Liam, stodgy, boring. Yan, no huge flavor, good sponge. Draw. Steven, looks good, beautifully baked, perfect. Autumn. Pool, handshake, nailed it. So he gets a handshake, a Hollywood handshake. They're showing everyone kind of moving around. Stacy, bake is okay, not convinced. James, they say it's like rustic mud. Maybe. Liam and James are talking about their cooking times now. Sophie, neat, lovely, walloping. It also gets a handshake for Paul. Silliness or Silzines, Paul, something. We get talking heads. I think Yan says this is the Peter, I made the Peter Beardsley of cakes, which I don't know what that means. This is where Stacy right now, I'm watching it. It helps Yan makes your oven's not on. Yan is a biomedical scientist. One of the people I'm rooting for early on. I don't know. It just seemed like, okay, that's someone I would feel comfortable being around, hanging out with. But it also reminds me of a coworker. That always helps. She has to restart her bake because there's a problem with sponge. But that's apple crumble contingency. Then we see Flo is working on fillings and decorations. Curd filling. Paul's giving her a hard time for the way she speaks. And Flo's grandmother Flo she helps out at her son's restaurant, the Madhouse. So that's what the Madhouse was, or maybe that's her house. She's citrus layer cake with candied oranges and lemons. Her daughter put notes on there. Well done, Mom. We love you. I'm nervous. Are you? It's okay to be nervous. Nothing to worry about. So, yeah, we see the nerves. We see Jan's second sponge. Liam waiting for his loaf. He's got him and a couple other people with the bigger cakes. We see the gilded pear being made. That's Tom, architect from Edinburgh. And that's a pear and blackberry cake. Meanwhile, in the future, my notes will be a gingham-clad mystery Prue bit fiddly 12 chocolate mini rolls with peppermint buttercream. We get 2 hours to do that in the future. Right now, Kate, the amateur blacksmith, is showing, she's from Knowlesley, strawberry and rose sponge cake. And Prue is asking, how are you going to balance the flavors, which we now know from the future it didn't quite work out. Sorry. And talking about how are we going to know. Then we see Steven making his toffee sauce, crystallize the old citrus rinds, mascarpone, icing sugar. Steven's pretty charming, it seems like. Marketing executive, his mom's Judy. So for her, he's making a bonfire apple cake, one verse Swiss roll. These are my notes while we go. Familiar? No. Flavor swirl. Pastor extract, egg yolks, sugar paste. Liam big breath, 12 minutes. Steven's telling Noel, kind of like, I'm going with this bonfire. I love you, love you. 30 minutes left to make fruity cakes. Noel didn't hit the pan, but so we see Noel and Sandy's interchange. We talked to Sophie at the oven. I don't know. I'm having trouble tracking all these. We go to the buttercream. Liam jokes. Sandy, peppermint, mini marvels. Starting again ×2. So 2 people have to restart. Rubbery, chocolate melts. Noel bowled over by Sandy. Tight curl. Rolling is rough. So rolling the cake. I mean, and I would love a peppermint Swiss roll. I guess in the U.S., those are called the ho-hos or Swiss rolls. I guess ho-ho was the hostess ones. We would usually get the Debbie's Swiss rolls. And those ones, they'd never, I don't know if I ever saw peppermint before. Still, it got those popping fridges and everything beautiful, the pastelish colors. What else you got? Mini marvels, bowled over, 20 centimeters. Does not done something. Stress City, cover the rolls, bottom exposed. You can have your bottom exposed. That's a lot of good jokes. And Noel will take his trousers off. Some white chocolate drizzle. Shaking hands. Time is up. But we're still on the show. They're starting to just decorate their cakes. You got what are those things called? Piping things. Fruit, but other people are waiting for their stuff to come out of the oven, and that's very Stress City. Waiting by the oven, trying to get stuff on, but while the depending on how you're worn, can I borrow a small sieve? Thank you very much. And I definitely would not do well in these, I can't, fingers crossed this works. So that was for the, so some of the decorations are coming out. Bakers, you have 2 minutes to bring this to a fruity conclusion, Sandy says. Sandy's wearing like a nice jacket, kind of like a silk material printed. And yeah, everybody's saying, I hope this is baked because I had to take it out of the oven. This is where you say, what's the editing? Schnizzle is nizzling. And this one, what's his name? He loses his bottom of his fruitcake. James, that's his name. Eventually, we'll get to know these bakers. Another one comes out smooth. Who needs icing sugar? Jan's helping Liam. or you Liam's helping you in. I'm not sure. He's going to tuck his bottom under 1 minute. Everybody's getting ready. So Rhubarb did that guy in. And yeah, final decorations. Everything's dripping. Time is up. Looks gorgeous. First challenge is over. Everybody claps. Everybody gives hugs. And it's like, okay, nobody's allowed to touch it. I made a mess. They say, oh boy, this kitchen is very messy. Everybody's laughing. A little cleanup going on, I guess, while they wait for the judging. Camera pans down and goes by all the contestants sitting there. Meanwhile, we could see the judging for some of the Swiss rolls. What do we got here? First one is messy. Second one is no peppermint. Nice swirl, good. Oh no. Flea, small, not very spongy. Nice, a good one. Art, too much mint. Quite neat, no swirl. No purdy. Side thin. Egon, little swirl, good. Too much rind. That's not right. So you had 5 teaspoons of baking powder. That's what threw the flavor off. Prue said you can get the coconut first. It's good. Whole pear on the cake. I think that's Tom. They say looks good. It could look silly, but it doesn't. But overbaked, bud. Steven, not bad. Rain cakes. So then they do the placing, which I couldn't follow. Then they go to talking heads in the night and the rain. Liam's serious. He has to give himself a stern talk the next day. Everybody comes in and they talk about the showstopper. But yeah, we'll do that later. Flo and Paul are talking. Oh, Flo had left lemon curd in the fridge. But Bruce says probably better off without the lemon curd. It could have thrown the flavor off. So they say maybe you did yourself a flavor. It's more restrained. So she has a laugh. Chris's cake. Is this tomatillos? Tomatillos on there, it looks like, or something with like a wrapper that a tomatillo comes in. It's got flavor, but it's squashed in the middle. He says, okay. Then Liam's apple almond crumble maple loaf, stodgy. That's what the boring, but it looks good to me. Then Yan's windfall apple crumble. Not a huge amount of flavor, and I'm getting the apple not light as air, but good sponge. That's her second one, and she says, I'll take it as a win. Maybe a draw, yeah. Steven's caramel cake. They say, oh boy, that looks good. Bonfire flames, a shine of toffee. And they take a bite. He's looking on, beautifully baked. Thank you. Apple soft, warming spices. Combination of flavors. A sip of autumn or something. Then Paul shakes his hand. He laughs. Has to walk away. And really cute at the end of the episode with him. Noel goes back for another taste. Other people are kind of looking at him a little jealous. And we get to another cake. And then we go to James's cake. Orange rhubarb ginger caved in the middle. Just mud. Wet in the middle. Flooded with water. Bruce says maybe put some custard on it. Then Sophie pineapple coconut sandwich cake. Nice sponge right away. Later we learn Sophie's trying to become a stunt person. I said, that's interesting career path. She's in the military and she gets a handshake. She gets a big smile and laugh. Then she was training people. Not she left the military, but was training people that are in the military. I know, climbing or something. And I think that's it. Then we do talking heads. So, everybody's kind of either stressed or happy, and or like glad they're in the middle. And so it's like Peter Beardsley cakes. Some people are covering their heads. We see some sheep. We see some things. Then we go to this Swiss roll challenge. The next part of our gingham clad mystery, eh? And they say, Prue, any advice for the bakers? She says, yeah, don't. It can be this one could be fiddly if you do it wrong. So, yeah, Noel almost leaves because they make them leave. Bruce says, no, Noel, not go. 12 chocolate mini rolls. It's 144 of these childhood favorites. Delicate chocolate fun for something. Do not worry about leaving a bare bottom cheekily. There's a nice pun. They have all the same ingredients. Prue's pared down recipe, pared down Prue. And some people have never made them, maybe not even had them before. They seem easy, but Prue says they're difficult to do because they have to be identical. You got to roll it up. There's no flour. So the egg whites are what make it rise up. So apparently it's a flourless cake. And Paul has a laugh. People are trying to get their thing mixed up, get it the right consistency, whisking the egg yolks, sugar. And some people get it fluffy, but other people it's like, oh boy, you're definitely going to be in trouble. You can see people maybe spying on other people. The egg's only raising agent. They have this one guy, the Paisley guy, kind of see his is like, he's already in trouble. Sandy's talking to Liam. She watched him even put it in the oven. That's when he takes his big breath. See you in 12. He says, man, I'm in trouble. Now time to make buttercream. Liam jokes he's never done it before with Sandy. And then they say, I don't know how much peppermint to put in. Put in too much, it'll taste like toothpaste, Bruce. It can't be overpowering. If you put in a half teaspoon, whole, quarter. Mini marvels, Prue says. Or not Prue, I'm sorry, Sandy. Anytime soon, slightly sinking, pulling it out. Chris is flat as a pancake. I got to start over. Other people are letting theirs cool. Seems a little rubbery. Trying not to lose the air. Second time. Then we get the chocolate melting. A chocolate feast. Sandy Liz says, I like chocolate. Chris gives her a taste. And yeah, everybody's trying to do their best. Half hour left. She gives a bowl to Noel. He falls over, bowled over. Buttercream spread on the cakes, and then they're ready to curl it. You're supposed to roll them like a scroll. Roll like a scroll. Make sure the roll is tight. It is fiddly and sticking for some. Some people it's not sticking, so I don't know what they did to make it not stick. Chris is in trouble, man. His edges are not neat, a centimeter off each side. Some people are measuring and make sure they have the right size. Swirl inside, cutting it even. Here we go. Cover the rolls. Pour or dip? Yen says pour because you can have an exposed bottom, so you don't need to dip. And that's when he says, my trousers are coming off. 5 minutes. Sandy says, they're stressed, so why don't you say it, Noel? Piping's going on. And different people have, a different ability to make it look fancy or not fancy. And we see there's they'll have no idea. It's raining and nighttime. Paul and Prue return. They look at him and they kind of go through, proper swirl. That's Jan's. Sponge is good. Peppermint strong. swirl. We kind of did this. Let's see if we see anything new. There's already people with tears in their eyes. They're just tired, really tired. Sponge is not very spongy. I think that's on flows. And she makes a noise even that gives her away. No peppermint, nice swirl. Just a hint of peppermint. Sponge is nice. Not much of a swirl. No, let's see. These ones are neat. But solid bit of cream, no swirl. That's a shame. The one guy, they say this is not a pretty sight. Sponge is not cooked, squashed. These are neater, equal in size. A little bit of a swirl. Sponge is good. And these are neat as well. Too much swirl, too much mint. Sort of a feathered, chunky monkey. Is that what he says? Looks denser than it is. Thunder rumbles. And let's see, 12th place is Chris. 11th, Stacy. 10th, I don't know. So they start going really fast. And third place, Julia. Second place is, I don't know, one of the, some guy. First place is Kate, who laughs. Yeah, so then we go to Talking Heads. Kate's giggling in the rain. Chris is like tense. I don't want to be the first one to go home. Liam says, I'm going to talk to myself seriously, get my, then we go in for the Zoom showstopper, illusion cake, trick to the eye to scale, 4 hours, all edible. Now on, get ready, get set, bake. So it has to be illusion, but it has to be the size and scale. Everything must be edible. Show-stopping, on your mark, get set, bake. Not just bakers, but artists. One of the judges has to say you need structural integrity. Sophie, bottle, bucket, champagne. It was so good it fooled the bouncer once for a posh night out. Stacy's making a clutch bag. Collapse, ? Moist clutch. Ton of bakes by fire, lemon poppy seed. That's Tom. Stack of books by a fire. So let's see. So Sophie's talking about how she fooled the bouncer right now. James, expression croissant, day-to-day life. So then we see Stacy's clutch bag. It's a wet mix, vinegar, red wine, buttermilk. And Paul says, be careful, it could collapse. She says, I'm hoping it won't. Good luck. And then say, Tom's looking forward to a night in, baking a stack of books, relaxing evening by the fire. Beauty and the Feast, I think was the name of the book. Could pack quite a punch. James is sponge. Oh, so he's making a cup of coffee and a croissant. That's what he has every morning on the way to work. Jim's Java, sugar, joining his day-to-day life. Banana sponge. Liam's is making these Sunday pancakes. He and his mom, they make the thick American style stack and Sunday cakes with blueberries and granola. I've never had granola on my pancakes. And he kind of sprinkles them on the top. And then they're talking about how they're going to use fondant. Paul's very questioning of Liam's ability, to pull it off, or what, his technique. And he says, don't worry about it, Paul. Paul's pork and, what's that guy's name? Chris. He's trying to make a raised pork pie and egg surprise cake. And he kind of acts like he's into this precision. And he does need to move up the rankings, Sandy says. And he kind of jokes with Sandy, are you going to trick the judges for me? And we see Flo is making this watermelon cake, one in a melon. Oh, that's a cocktail she likes. She doesn't normally like it, but green chocolate chips, a green sphere. Multiple sponges to create the illusions, multiple baking times, starting at 13 to 15 minutes. Let me see where are my notes. Liam, American style pancakes, day-to-day life. James is baking. Way mom likes it. Chris and Flo, pork and egg pie. Precise, we need it. Flo, less savory. Melon, watermelon cake. Multiple sponges. Yan start at 20. Iso malts, glacier mints, terrarium cake, a mini greenhouse for cake. Flo says it's terrifying. Peter's also using sugar. He's making a knife cutting through bread on a breadboard with lemon zest, marshmallow fondant. My first foray in baking was when I started baking bread. Stephen also bread, fondant, something sandwich, a BLT, hazelnut liqueur, peanut butter cream. BLT, how are you going to do this? He says, I'm going to use a spray gun for edible color for the stuff. They love it. Fondant food, Yan, pasta machine. My mom was trying to get rid of it. Banana ramen cake with mashed bananas, marshmallow fondant, crisped rice. Banana ramen rolls off the tongue and says, time is not an illusion, Noel says. You're halfway through the showstopper challenge. People are taking their cakes out. Bingo. What do we get else? Any time is not an illusion, halfway. Stacy stress reshoots a point of no return. She bins her cakes. And redo a sponge, not what I wanted today. Cutting cake, Julia Russian doll with 5 layers. And Liam's cutting his cake while it's warm. Precision. They're using these kind of different cutters and making towels, making their layers, covering it up. But Julia is putting the illusion inside a Russian doll. I think it's self-explanatory. Fondant and sponge doll surrounded by another doll. The outside looks Russian like me. The inside looks English, which is also me. Then we see rain on the trees. How long? An hour. Stacy's kind of happy she redid her sponge. Flo's carving it like a melon, making the doll. Sandy and Steven, serious challenge, icing, clock's moving, fondant goes on. Katsu chicken fillet. Oh, Steven and Sandy cut his piece of bread together. And yeah, they're trying to trim it back. Everything's getting covered in fondant. Liam air bubbles on pancakes, so he's even getting the details in. Everything is redeemable or something. Unfortunately, Liam's measuring his circumference or his diameter. We see people really putting it on. Rice Krispies and marshmallows for the katsu. Bubbles. There's Liam making his bubbles. Knife breaks. Breathtaking beauty. Still redeemable. Everything's redeemable. You can do it. Painting. Different things. Different techniques of painting. Colors. Modeling. Chocolates. And that's some sculpting the neck of the, champagne. Noel's got a lot of jokes about that. Yan's liquefying some agar and some mango juice to make spherical balls. She explains cooling oil and liquid. Outer walls, it's science, basically. Flo's like, does this look like a watermelon? Yeah, we see everybody really working hard. Champagne bottle top, your spherical balls. Everything getting put together. Science juice balls. How long? What cakes are made of or not? Decoration. Time is up. So, yeah, we see all the final decorations. 10. They even do a countdown. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time is up. Put down your illusions. There's stress. There's dismay. And people kind of throwing stuff. Ian and Steven have high fives. People sigh, frown. We get an outside shot. It's judgment time. Yan goes first. And hers looks like a banana ramen. Produce a work of art, they say. I love the way you use the Rice Krispies. Eggs look good. Salmon roe. Your brain's going to think one thing, your mouth the other. Then the cake inside looks good. A good banana flavor. A little dry, but design's incredible. Beauty and the Feast, Tom Stack of books. Could have done more with it. Not much detail. Like the flavor a little dry. Cake's terrarium did not fully come together, but it looked good. And cakes and moist, nice flavor. James Macchiato is kind of falling over. Nice flavor, though. Dry, but the chocolate coffee's delicious. Chris's thing, basic on the outside. But that looks good. I take a bite of it. Almondy flavor. It's a little too dense, so Paul says. Flow. Hers looks like, say, green grocer. That's what Prue says. I'd buy this. So it could be a watermelon. And it looks like a watermelon on the inside. Everybody's like blown away because it's so red. Wowzers. Watermelon syrup, chocolate. Prue takes a bite. Can't get the watermelon, but I got the chocolate. Sponge is spot on. Love the color. Chocolate lifts it up. I love you, Flo. Paul says, I love you too. She laughs. They go to Julia. Paul says, it's pretty big. Proper Siberian Russian doll. They're surprised by the one on the inside. And then they cut into the 5 layers. Prue takes the first bite. Find the cake a bit plain and dry. Peter's bread is a little simplistic. Too bad his knife broke. They cut into a bit dry. Flavor's beautiful, but left in too long. Stacy's evening bag. Flo says, I'm not even sure, or Bruce says, I'm not even sure this is a handbag. Is it a good cake? They take it out, bite into it. Delicious. So I guess this is what saved her, because I said she was definitely in trouble. Sponge is delicious. Not overwhelmed by the design, though. She's like probably relieved. And then Sophie's champagne bottle and bucket cake. It looks amazing. It looks real. So I can see that they got to get it before it melts. They take a bite of the cake. Cut to the crowd watching, her watching. Bruce says a little dry. Ganache makes it even drier. Flavor's nice, though. Steven, bring up your illusion cake. They bring it up. His looks like a sandwich. They say, wow. He's got a hard-boiled egg, too, on the side. Stunning, Paul says. Without a shadow of a doubt, we know what it is. Absolutely astonishing. Chocolate cake, hazelnut sponge. They take a bite. They kind of pull back. A lot of reaction shots. Paul pounds the table. Perfect, he says. Hazelnut, the peanut, the frosting, layers. It's all there. Not too sweet. Lovely. Well done. And he's relieved. Liam, his looks like a stack of pancakes, like from IHOP. Like it looks like something you'd shoot for a commercial, even. And blueberries, whipped cream, and granola. Just so lovely. Everybody's laughing. He's laughing. Difficult to believe it's not pancakes. So it's ingenious, but it's got taste good. Of course, Paul's got it. A lot going on here. They scoop it. Reaction shots. I was expecting more banana. But blueberries it's delicious. Mouthful's lovely. Paul says beautiful banana cake. Well done. So Liam goes off. He laughs and sits down. He's like, oh boy. Then Noel says, now Paul and Prue have to decide. We get a shot of the cakes, table talk. Strong challenge. Flo stood out, cracking good watermelon. Sophie's been consistent. Steven didn't fail us. Who's in trouble, they say. Okay, well, Liam saved himself with his showstopper. Stacy, it didn't look like a handbag. Peter and Chris, and they say, it's not straight. We don't want it. We don't, well, They could send Noel home. He goes, okay, I'll go. I'll take it for the team. He leaves, shakes his hands. He actually walks off set, kisses Sandy. See you later, kids. Goodbye, darling. Camera pans once. Camera pans choice. Everybody comes out. And Sandy says, it's been a privilege. I get to go to the Star Baker. That's a person who's been the best thing since sliced bread. So we know that's Steven. Everybody applauds. They give him hugs. They clap. And then Noel has, I have to deliver the bad news. And the person we have to say goodbye to is, and they do a long, drawn-out thing, Peter. Sorry, mate. Give us a hug. Come on. He's smiling, though. Been wonderful. Been a pleasure. We see him outside. He was up against real competition, and the standard was high, Paul says. And Chris says maybe it was my flavors that saved me. So a lot of stress, a lot of tears. Flo and Steven are talking about the victory. Flo's like, I'm ecstatic. It's me that doubts myself. My kids are going to be so proud. Steven calls his mom, and he's crying about Paul's handshake. It really is infectious. It's nighttime. It's kind of rainy. And he goes, it's awkward. We're crying on the tube. And that's how the episode comes to a close. Let me just check my notes from the end. Wow, we're very good. Banana dry. Tom, could have done me a little dry. Nearly a workstation for Kate or something. Nearly worked. Moist and nice. James collapsed. Nice flavor, bit dry. Chris, basic on outside. Something too dense. Flo, greengrocer. Wow. Wowzers. Excellent, wonderful, spot on. I love you, Flo. Julia, proper Siberian. Cut to her, dry and plain. Peter, simplistic's dry, flavor good, too long. Stacy, looks like a cake, delicious, rich, more than a bag. Sophie, amazing look, dry, flavor nice. Stephen, wow, stunning. Paul laughs, perfect, well done. Liam, looks delicious, lovely. Bluegrass, blueberries overpower, delicious, well done. Breeze, table talk, Noel heads out, night on tent. They come out. Sandy, first star baker. Steven, sliced bread. Bad news. No, Peter, double exclamation point. Give us a hug. Hugs. Ben a pleaser. A whisker above. Flo so happy. Me that doubts myself. Stevenson calls mom, cries on the tube. Not awkward to me. So that's the end of the episode. Welcome back, bakers and snoozers. Good night. All right, I want to thank you. We became a patron recently. Patty, Rachel, and Jonathan. Thank you, thanks, and good night. And Ricky and Michelle. Thank you, thanks, and good night. Esther, Luke, and Sarah. Thank you, thanks, and good night. Ben, Jenny, and Stephanie. Thank you, thanks, and good night. Leah, Lucer, and Claire. Thank you, thanks, and good night. Kevin, Adrian, and Kay. Thanks, and good night. Aaron, Jennifer, and Zach. Thanks, and good night. Ahu and V. Thank you, thanks, and good night. Heather, Ingrid, and Emily. Thank you, thanks, and good night. Charlie, Lauren, and Dorian. Thank you, thanks, and good night. Ben, Gail, and Emily. Thank you, thanks, and good night. Vicky, Mary, and Michelle. Thank you, thanks, and good night. Allison, Cody, and George. Thank you, thanks, and good night. Molly, Karen, and Robin. Thank you, thanks, good night. And Holly and Julia. Thank you, thanks, and good night. Thanks, everybody, for supporting the show on Patreon. Couldn't do it without you. Really appreciate it. Shows here because of you, the listeners that support the sponsors. We grow by people spreading the word. I really, really, really appreciate it. So thank you so much. And here's a little bit more about our referral program coming up here. Thanks and good night. Hey, everybody, this is Scoots with like a tuck you in message here for our bedtime story podcast. We're trying out, and I kind of said this, free way to support Sleep With Me and bedtime stories from Sleep With Me is join our referral program, sleepwithmepodcast.com/refer, R-E-F-E-R. You get rewarded for introducing people to free version of Sleep With Me, including access to Sleep With Me Plus. But most of all, just think about what your favorite podcast is or one of your favorite podcasts, and then support that podcast. It doesn't have to be Sleep With Me, but just to support your favorite podcast because they could use your support right now. And if you decide, Sleep With Me is actually my favorite podcast, well, wow, blushing, seriously, even though it's imaginary here in this context, and support it at sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus. Or listen to a show you love and see how they want to be supported. Thanks.